Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this video. In this particular video, I want to explain the difference between proof of work consensus and the proof of less work, which the Alephium ecosystem have adopted for the mining proposition. Okay, Alephium is making use of proof of less work, which is much more advantageous than the proof of work. So I'll be taking the differences. Then we'll see why the core team decided to make use of proof of work against the proof of less work against the proof of work consensus. Now let's start. The first point is energy consumption. For proof of work, for example, Bitcoin is very high, often criticized for waste. For proof of less work is greatly reduced and eco-friendly. What this symbolizes is that when you're mining with, for example, Bitminer, ASIC miners, it takes a lot of power. It consumes a lot of power. Most miners take from around 1,300 watts, kilowatts per hour. Okay, they take about 1,300 watts, per hour. That's like having an electric iron running 24 hours in your house. Many electric irons make use of 1,000 watts. So when a miner is running at 1,300 watts per hour, that's a lot of energy. It consumes a lot of energy, and it's regarded as waste. Okay, but meanwhile, when you talk of Alephium's mining system, it's greatly reduced and it's eco-friendly. So when it means eco-friendly, is green. It doesn't constitute any nuisance with the environment, like the devastating effects of climate change are mitigated. Okay, hardware requirements demands powerful ASIC GPUs. When you talk of GPUs, you're talking of graphic processing units. That's what you need for proof of work miners. For proof of less work miners, runs efficiently on less demanding hardware. Environmental impact contributes to carbon emission, which I earlier explained. Low environmental footprints. When you talk of footprints, these are traces, okay, trails that the carbon emission leaves, okay, and it causes a degeneration in our ecosystem. For example, we have flooding, we have skin burns from the high radiations of the sun because of this carbon emission, which depletes the ozone layer. Okay, but when you're mining with Alephium's proof of less work consensus, you don't have to stress about that. It's low to environmental footprint. Security mechanisms secures via heavy computational puzzles. When you talk of proof of less work consensus, secures via optimized lighter puzzles, which while maintaining robustness. Okay, scalability, limited scalability due to energy and speed trade-offs. When you talk of proof of less work consensus, more scalable, supports high throughput, cost of mining, expensive electricity and hardware cost. Just like what I earlier explained, you have to buy the mining machine, which is very expensive. Some mining machines cost for as high as $5,000. Then you have to factor in the cost of electricity of running that mining machine, not talk of the stability of electricity too. Now, but when you talk of proof of less work consensus, we have lower costs, more inclusive participation, that's for the machines, decentralization, risk centralization due to mining pools, ASIC dominance. For the other one, that is proof of less work consensus, which Alephium ecosystem is using, promotes better decentralization by reducing hardware barriers. Okay, what this means is that when you're mining, for example, Bitcoin, you have a pool where you're mining the Bitcoin, okay? So everybody is there mining at the same time. So that can make your own network, your link, vulnerable. It causes vulnerability, which can lead to spoofing and hacking. For example, the domain name server malwares. People used to hack into people's systems to steal their private keys and other important details, But when you talk of Alephium's proof of less work consensus, it promotes better decentralization by reducing hardware barriers, okay? Long-term sustainability. When you talk of proof of work, question due to unsustainable energy demands. And that's true. I've seen companies that set up their mining companies, mining farm and mining rigs near a hydro plant. Okay, they will go to where there's a waterfall and they will set up a hydro plant to be able to mine consistently. But when you talk of the proof of less work consensus, it's designed for long-term endurance and sustainability. Okay, adoption readiness seen as outdated in terms of efficiency. That's for the proof of work. Even Ethereum have moved from proof of work to proof of stake. Everybody's moving from that algorithm, that consensus of proof of work, and the core team of Alephium is doing something phenomenal. They are making use of proof of less work. It writes future ready aligns with the global push for green tech, which is phenomenal. The last one, Alephium's leverage, the proof of work consensus. For it, you have traditional approach used by Bitcoin and others. Okay, so many other companies make use of this proof of work consensus. If I can recall, Dash, Electronium, Bitcoin, and many others. But Alephium, on the other hand, will have unique innovation powering off with eco-friendly consensus, just like I earlier explained. Okay, so this sets us apart from the pack. This sets Alephium apart from the pack, making them the leader because our project is eco-friendly, which is what the world is gearing towards now today. I think there was a meeting, a G20 meeting at Geneva this year, where they talked about climate change and how to mitigate it. England is planning that by 2035 they will eradicate all fossil fuel cars, and everything will be electric, renewable. Everybody's gearing towards eco-friendly, and it's beautiful to know that Alephium ecosystem and team are not left behind. They're also doing that with their mining system to preserve our environment. I want to talk about a point I didn't. Let me just delve more into one of the points when I talked about. When we talked about security mechanism, secures via heavy computational puzzles, we'll talk about halving, Bitcoin halving. After every 4 years, we'll have halving when a Bitcoin is being split, and the puzzle becomes much more difficult to break, and we're approaching the total circulating supply of Bitcoin, which is 21 million. Currently, I think it should be around 20 million or 19 or 20 million. So the security mechanism is very, very difficult now to break a block. Okay, to break a block is very difficult. So it secures via heavy computational puzzles. Now, the computational algorithms needed to break a block is very, very expensive and much. It's very, very advanced, okay? So, but with Alephium, we don't need to go through that kind of hassle. It secures via optimized, lighter puzzles while maintaining robustness, okay? We can see a lady holding a green flower leaf symbolizing eco-friendly and our Alephium token. So that's it. So the core team is doing has done something beautiful to lean on the proof of less work consensus. It shows they are thinking ahead and thinking into the future, asking questions: what path do we find ourselves in the next 10 years to come? Do we align with the global goals of the world? Do we Alephium core team? Do we align with the global goals of the world? And with this consensus, the answer is yes. So kudos to the core team. So if you intend to mine coin, choose Alephium as your preferred coin of choice to mine, because to save you energy, to save you cost, and to also preserve the environment. And with that, this brings us to the end of this video. I want to say thank you so much for following me to this particular point. See you in the next one, and take care. Bye.